The first thing I want to do is update you regarding community service. I sent something out maybe in a couple of weeks ago in my Harris Herald for November, speaking about the joint effort between SOT, meaning the sisters, and Bethany to respond to the ever-growing needs of food insecurity, housing insecurity, all of the things we know that people need, not just at this time of the year, but especially right now during the government shutdown. It's a tough time for individuals, and we recognize that. So you may have heard from Food for the Soul. They've had a couple of food drives. You may have seen their trucks on campus. The sisters have gone all in to ensure that they can do their best to feed the greater Cincinnati area. And we had a meeting with them earlier this week to determine how Bethany can be a part of that. So student council has taken the leadership on that, and you will be hearing from them next week with details. There will be an opportunity for families to send up canned goods and other shelf-stable items. And then there are some other things that are needed that Food for the Soul will speak about with Judy Johns, who is our student council representative, and your kids will come home with a list of ways that they can be mobilized and your family can assist. So know that that is coming. It has taken us a bit of time because the sisters were off to the races and then said, okay, let's see how Bethany can help. They reached into their coffers to open up the doors to feed the greater Cincinnati area, even before it was announced that the SNAP benefits were ending. So they are moving quickly and swiftly, and we are grateful to them for their partnership. And just know that there's an opportunity for us to help as well. The next thing I want to provide an update on is safety and security. We spoke at the back to school night, which tragically was the day of or the day following the Minneapolis shooting. And it was really heavy on our hearts. What I want to make sure this community knows is that while it's been a couple of months since that day, safety and security is always at the top of my mind. So you haven't heard me share much about the school resource officer. So let me tell you where we are with that. We were going through the village of Glendale. And if you were at the back to school night event, you may remember that Lieutenant Greg Barber was present along with Sister Diana. And she shared that the sisters were going to increase their annual gift to Bethany so that we could pay for the financial resources for a school resource officer. And the village offered to provide us an officer. Well, as with anything that has to do with a city office or government office, and you can't just decide on August 28th that you're going to have a school resource officer and have that person present and in place on August 29th. It doesn't work like that. For those of you who live in the village of Glendale, you may have seen that the officer was an agenda item at the city council meeting on November 3rd. That is literally how long it took for the paperwork to be created and for the village to send us a letter of intent, for us to send one back, for them to send us a memorandum of understanding, and then for them to put it on the city council agenda for them to vote. So they are in the process of doing that, and it has to go through a few more steps. While they're doing that, we have actually independently posted a position that we can have on campus maybe sooner, because that's a lot of red tape, and I'm grateful to the village. I just want to make sure that we don't continue to let time pass. So SOT is working in a parallel fashion to see what is best. So we may end up with an officer from the village, or we may end up from an independent school resource officer. We have received a significant amount of interest, and it is my hope that we can have someone on campus after Thanksgiving. So that's where we're going, whether they're a village officer or they are independent. And either way, we will have someone on campus before December 1st. I'm sorry that it has taken this long. I had no idea on August 28th that we would have these many hoops to jump through. And I understand that legally that's what's required. I also know that we have to be able to do both and. So we have to be able to protect your children while going through obstacles and respecting the process. So thank you for your patience. Again, it is not far from my mind. There's been red tape every step of the way because that's how things are. So what that means is SOT and I have come up with an alternative plan that we hope um, will be beneficial. So one way or the other, we will have someone on this campus to protect students before December 1st. The next thing pivots just a little bit. It still has to do with transportation, and but it has to do with where we need your help. Transportation and safety. In the evenings or in the afternoons, there's a lot that goes on, and we have 185 children that we're trying to get to the right place. We have 2 carpool lines, we have extended day going on, and we have extracurricular activities also taking place with a variety of classes that are going on after school. We want to make sure that every student is where they are supposed to be. There are times when parents have things come up at the last minute, and I understand that. So you may make a call to us at 2:45, and you call and you say, I know little Johnny is supposed to ride the bus. However, I'd like for him to go to extended day today. And, and what ends up happening is someone in the office has to stop, get a message to a classroom that's full of children packing up, writing down homework assignments, and packing their bags, doing all of the things that teachers do at the end of the day. And sometimes things get lost. And we may have little Johnny in the wrong place. He may be at extended day and he's supposed to be on the bus, or he may be on the bus and he should be in practice. Things happen. So we need your help. There's going to be a note in the next Blue Hawks Blast that talks about a new plan that we have. We're going to go back to doing some things the old-fashioned way and utilizing our all-call system to be able to say to every single student at the end of the day, this is where you're supposed to go if there's been a change. But what we need from you is a call well before 2:45, probably before 2:00 p.m. Because from 2 to 2:50, that's a time of transition. Students are in their final classes, they're packing up, cars are pulling up for car line, buses are pulling up. Any change that happens after 2 p.m. just makes it that much more difficult, and we are human. And the last thing we want to do is look at you when you come to pick up your child from extended day and tell you that we're not really sure where they are. And so be on the lookout for a note in the Blue Hawks Blast for us to tighten up transportation changes. And again, we need your help with that and giving us time and space to make sure children are where they're supposed to be. Speaking of car line and the end of the day, I need you to also help us when you're dropping your students off and or picking them up. Some of you have heard me say that everything is okay until it's not. And what that means is people tend to do things they've always done until there's a problem. And then when there's a problem, they decide to change policy. I don't want there to be a problem. I'm attempting to minimize problems, especially during car line. So I need your help with a few things. We had some signs, and blame this on the Texan in me that thought that they would stay in the ground. And then, of course, winter hit. So there's been a lot of inclement weather, and those poor little signs are dead. But there were signs that said zone 1 through zone 5 before the ground was frozen over. When you pull into the parking lot for the older students for 3rd through 8th grades, when you pull up to drop off your children, I'm asking that you pull up as far as possible. There really shouldn't be more than 5 cars. We had signs that said zones 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those signs started at the very end of the parking lot, kind of where you exit, and ended where there's a cut through that is actually a fire lane. My request is that you do not allow your students to exit the car unless you have passed the fire lane and that there's a person that comes to help them get out of the car. I understand it is getting colder and you may have a propensity, a natural desire to pull up and let them walk right where the sidewalk is near the dining hall. That's not helpful to everyone, and it is a safety concern. Please pull up for pickup and drop off, pass the fire lane, If and leave the fire lane open. That's something we need to do. If no one opens the door for your child, please wait. Please, even if they are an eighth grader or seventh grader, please do not allow them to get themselves out of the car or walk to the car. Ask them to please wait to be escorted. And again, everything is fine until it's not. And what I don't want is for us to have an example, and sort of like where we are with transportation, transparently saying we now need to have a different process in place because we had a system in place that didn't work. So here's one that's only working because we haven't had a tragedy. We don't want a tragedy. Let's not block the fire lane. Let's have children wait for help to get in and out of the car. Let's also have them on the right side. I know sometimes you have other things in your vehicle on that side, but we have teachers and students walking between cars. And sometimes some of you are on your phones. None of you that are on this call tonight, because if you're on this call, you are engaged and you pay attention, and so none of you are on your phones in car line. I know this. But for those other people, they're on their phones. And every now and again, they get really close to hitting a child or a teacher. And it's happened a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Please help us with that. Children on the right side, above the fire lane, not getting out. And if it's 7:59 and you say, jump out and run, don't do that. Get here before 7:59 so that you have enough time to wait in line. Please, please, please. Did I leave anything out of that, Dr. Parker?
Nope, that's everything.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm going to move to lockdown. So we had a lockdown drill a few days ago, maybe Friday. We had a lockdown drill and it went well overall. I sent something out, I think in the Herald, asking you to speak with your children. Please continue to do that. It is a sign of the times. I wish we weren't having to have lockdown drills, but that's just where we are. And that's just the reality of life in a school. Please talk with your children about why we have them. We have fire drills and tornado drills, but we also have lockdown drills. It's important that they understand the seriousness of them, even when they're drills. It's important that they follow all of the instructions. And it's important that they know that sometimes it might take a little while. We don't like that, but our campus is spread out and we have to be accountable for 185 students and 50 faculty and staff. And so knowing where everyone is, making sure that the doors are secure and that people are following policy, that takes time. We are fortunate in that the village of Glendale comes out to help us. Those police officers come out to help us, from the chief and Lieutenant Barber, and they have a third gentleman who came with them on Friday, and they patrolled the entire campus and took the time to tell us where we were vulnerable and also share with us things that we did really well. So we just need you to talk to your children on a constant basis about practice. It's like practicing for soccer or chess or handbells or basketball. The more you practice doing something, the better you become at doing it. So if you would share that with them, we'd appreciate it. And we did send something out to you to say that we were having a drill, and then we followed up at the very end. If for some reason you didn't get something saying that, you didn't get a text or an email stating that we were having a drill, please reach out to Sherry Anderson. Let her know. Anderson, and it's all E's, so Andersen at bethanyschool.org, to let her know that you did not receive anything, and she'll get it to the right people to make sure that you're on our list. So thank you for your help with that. And thanks for not calling during a lockdown drill when you've gotten something that says we're locked down. Thank you for not calling the school, calling your children, and reaching out to the teachers, or even reaching out to say, is it still going on? Why isn't it over? Again, not to those of you on this call, but the same people who use their phones during pickup and drop off in line. It's them. We don't want them calling the school when we're in the middle of a lockdown drill. Last thing about safety and security, inclement weather. It is here. The policy hasn't changed. If you are a current Bethany or returning Bethany family, you will still hear from us. So I have I drew I don't know if it's the short end of the stick or what? I have the privilege of getting up at the crack of dawn when it's supposed to snow to determine if it makes sense, if it's safe for us to have school. So I work really closely with Missy Price, who some of you know, who works for Bethany and SOT. And she and one of the maintenance gentlemen who actually lives on campus, they will take a look at the grounds to see if it's safe for students to walk between buildings, if it's safe for cars to come on campus, um, all of that. Um, and once they notify me, then I will make sure that I contact Mark Fair on this call. He will put something on social media. I will say our website is not updated enough for the information to be put on there. So it will be on social media. It will be on the local news station. So you will see it there, and we will push something out. We will push something out to you so that you have that information. But going back to what I shared previously about the lockdown drills, if you're not on that list, you may not get it. And I understand this is the time of year that it's about to get bad. So if you haven't gotten anything from us, reach out to Miss Sherry, make sure she knows that so that you're on our list. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We want you to see the great things we do. We want to keep in contact with you, but then also it's a way for us to communicate when we're shutting down school. I will make that decision as early as I can so that you're not driving from across town. But here's the other thing I will say. If the weather is inclement, if you walk out your house and you see that it is not safe for you to drive, do not drive your child to school, period, whether school is in session or not. And we will make that an excused absence and they can make up their work. But I would rather for you to err on the side of caution and for you to make a decision about what makes sense for you and your family. So that, again, that's coming up. Make sure you're connected. And I will communicate as soon as I know and as soon as Missy and the gentleman who lives on the property are able to say it makes sense for children to be here and teachers to be here or not. And before I go to the next section about the playground, I think there are a few folks whose, if everyone would just mute, that would be great. There are a few of you who aren't muted and there's some background noise I'm hearing about, getting texts and chats about. So if you are not muted, please mute yourself. And the playground, the next thing I want to mention is the playground. I want to give you an update on that as well. We are working with a selected construction firm and the village with the goal of having a finalized contract next month. That work will take place between January and May so that when students return in the fall of 2026, there will be a playground that's ready for your children to play on and ready for them to fall in love with. So I wanted to give you that update. There was a meeting as early as as recent as 3 p.m. today, and we're just waiting to sign the final contract. And again, they will start the work in January, and they anticipate being done before summer officially begins. And before I move on to extended day, there was a question in the chat about the weather. And yes, I'll repeat, I will contact the local news stations. So you will get inclement weather information there. So yes, in case you missed that part, yes, I will contact the local news stations and check social media as well. And then the last thing for me has to do with extended day. So a couple of things, please save this date and it will be in the blast also that goes out. Tuesday, December 9th is the date of our faculty and staff holiday party, Christmas party. We will not have extended day on that day. Tuesday, December 9th. It's not the week that we return from Thanksgiving break. It is the following week. Please make plans for that day so that we can have an inclusive Christmas party that includes the extended day faculty and staff. Some of you may know that in addition to part-timers, a lot of our teachers actually work for extended day as well, and sometimes our administrative staff. So there are some familiar faces with your children in the afternoons, and there's not a time when we can all be together other than during the week. And so Tuesday, December 9th is the day the party will be on this year. And in previous years, everyone hasn't been able to participate. So Tuesday, December 9th, we will not have afternoon extended day. The morning is fine. Please make other arrangements for the afternoon for your children for Tuesday, December 9th. And again, that will be in the blast. And I think Ms. Brooks will send out a separate note about that as well. Speaking of extended day, we need some help. There are times we have up to 120 students in extended day, which far exceeds any number of students we had in the past. That gets to be a large group to manage and to supervise, and the student-teacher ratio is higher than we would like, and sometimes higher than we're comfortable with. And we want to make sure that safety is our top priority. To that end, we're making a small change. For the spring semester, when you come back in January, you will be asked to pre-register. It might be by the week or it may be by the month. We're just asking you to let us know if your child will be present so that Ms. Brooks and her team can staff extended day accordingly. If we have 3 teachers present and we have 100 students, that's not safe. So it would help us to know who's coming, and so that, again, we can make sure that we have enough teachers present. So you'll get something in the next couple of weeks that just explains that process. All we're saying is, let us know if your children are going to be there, and so that we can do our due diligence and make sure it's staffed properly. And I will say, next year extended day may look different. So we are talking to some other companies that may be able to come in and use our facilities and bring in their team to provide other options in the afternoon, all extended day, but just some different activities. So know that that's coming, but the biggest thing is making sure that you're prepared to register them when we come back from Christmas break. Also an extended day. And please remember that once your child is there, they are there, and we're responsible for them. So having them leave to go to the concession stand, if there's a game going on and coming back, is not safe and something that we allow them to do, because once they're with us, we just need to make sure that they're with us. And remember, there are no food deliveries allowed in extended day. So DoorDash should not show up at extended day like they have attempted to do so recently. So no DoorDash. You're welcome to send snacks. No DoorDash, and they can't go to the concession stand. What we're asking you to do when it comes to extended day and when it comes to car line is to help us keep your children safe. I think we have been very comfortable at Bethany for a long period of time, and everything has been fine. So we just kind of continue to push the envelope, and it's my responsibility to make sure that we don't overdo that. So please help us out with that. Okay, that was a lot. Are there questions about extended day or the car line, officer, transportation, or the playground? Any questions for me before I turn it over to Dr. Parker? Okay, that works. Doc, you want to talk about teaching and learning?
Yes, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. So first, I want to talk about just some updates to personnel changes that we've seen in our school in the past couple of weeks. So by now, you've all received communication from Dr. Harris regarding our new Dean of Student Life. But I just wanted to congratulate again Mr. Leighton Gibson, who is our current 4th grade math and science teacher. He is our new Dean of Student Life. I just wanted to highlight that we had numerous highly qualified candidates apply for the position. It was great to see the interest that the folks in the community had to be a part of our school community. And ultimately, Mr. Gibson stood out just as someone who had both the institutional knowledge of Bethany's mission and values and the families and the students that we serve, as well as experience as a successful classroom teacher and manager. And so on top of that, he's completing his Ohio administrative license, and he'll finish that in the spring. So it was just a really good time in his career, and we're just really excited to be able to find someone from within our own staff to take on that new role that we're really excited to have a completed administrative team again. So if you were on the town hall last week as part of the intermediate school, we went into a little more detail about what that looks like. But for everyone else who's not in the intermediate school, in addition to prioritizing finding the best person for that position to serve in the immediate future as well as in future years, Dr. Harris and I also wanted to ensure that whatever um, changes or decisions were made had as little as impact as possible on the teaching and learning of your children. And so while Mr. Gibson is a fourth grade math and science teacher, we did not feel like it was the best interest of students and families to remove him from that teaching role this year. So while he will begin his role on December 1st, he will have a hybrid role this year where he will continue to teach fourth grade math and science through the end of the school year, and then take on gradual teen and student life responsibilities, and then fully assume that role at the end of the school year. So again, we went into a lot more details last week with the families most impacted, those who are in the intermediate school. But one thing that I just wanted to highlight as probably the biggest change that folks will see beginning in December, as opposed to the beginning of the year, is that the most important piece that will be outward facing to parents is that Mr. Gibson will be the point of contact for student discipline, which is one of the many parts of the Dean of Student Life role. So in the past, you may have met with me regarding disciplinary decisions or kind of next steps and follow-up on parent communications. And so beginning December, that primary point of contact will be Mr. Gibson. Not that I didn't love having all the conversations with our students and parents, but it will just free me up to really focus on the priorities of my role, which is driving excellence in instruction and assessment and curriculum. And so Mr. Gibson will be able to shift focus on driving our goals around improving student and staff culture. And then just one thing I'll highlight is, again, just kind of one of the things that I've learned to be true about the Bethany School faculty and staff is just how everyone is so willing to step in and step up when there's a need. And so as Mr. Gibson kind of balances both the math and science teaching position as well as the Dean of Student Life position, then he will have support from Mrs. Hip, his co-teacher, who will be taking over some of his teaching responsibilities. Mrs. Brooke and Miss Alex will continue to support in ways that they have, such as school safety. And then I will also continue to be supporting the other responsibilities that are tied to that Dean of Student Life position. So the most important thing for you all to know is that Mr. Gibson is our new Dean of Student Life, and that you will start hearing from him should you need to contact the administrator about a disciplinary action or any questions or concerns you have regarding discipline of your child. Next, I want to shift to talking about grading policy. So as we just concluded the first trimester, we are working on finalizing our trimester 1 grades and report cards. We have a process to make sure our grades are accurate, comments are accurate, and everything is ready before we print and share out those report cards. So you will be getting those shared here soon. We do prioritize our 8th grade report cards first, just because Ms. Anderson has a deadline in terms of records requests for all the high schools where our 8th graders are hoping to attend next year. And so we do push the 8th grades through a little quicker. And then all other grades will be fine. All other grade levels will have their grades finalized before Thanksgiving. So those are coming very soon. And then also something that will be coming out here this week with my newsletter for the month of November. We just had some questions around how the GPA is calculated, which classes are included. And so I'm just going to be sharing an up-to-date grading policy in my letter that's coming out this week, so that will hopefully clear up any questions or concerns that you have. But if you do have any questions, once you get that report card, you can feel free to reach out to the classroom teacher or myself, and I'd be happy to help address any questions or concerns that you have. I also want to do a quick note. I know that some teachers have been reaching out to various specials teachers. I think it's mostly impacting art, but I think there might be some other specials classes that are experiencing the same issue. But our specialist classes use mastery-based grading, so it's the EMAE grades rather than the traditional letter grades A through F. And there has been an issue that our technology coordinator and I have been looking into that is causing grades to not show up properly. So I know some of you have reached out to Mrs. Schlimm saying, this is the grade that it's showing. And she's like, actually, it's not that grade. It's a different grade, or the percentage doesn't match the letter. We are aware of the issue, and we are fixing it to make sure that everything is accurate in the report cards. But I just wanted to put a note out there because I know there were several parents that had questions, and that's a glitch in Rediker that we're fixing. And we'll make sure that it's 100% accurate before grades are finalized. That's part of the reason why we go through a process that takes a little over a week to make sure everything is accurate. Quickly, I just want to touch on another question that we're starting to get from families anticipating the next school year and wondering when they're going to get our 26-27 calendar. I know our teachers are itching to see it as well, so I can only understand wanting to be able to plan ahead, and we appreciate that. We are working on finalizing the calendar, had a meeting to kind of get one step closer to that today. So you should expect to have the final 26-27 school year calendar in January, coming up very soon. One thing that we do check, in addition to just making sure that it is a calendar that's going to best serve our academic needs for our students, is that we know what the state requirements are, and we always want to exceed and go above and beyond that to make sure that our students are receiving the best education possible. That includes exceeding the number of hours that we're required to by the state of Ohio. And then lastly, this was something I just want to highlight upcoming in December as we approach the Christmas party season. I just wanted to put in a plug on behalf of Nurse Lands that we appreciate all of the amazing engagement that our families put into supporting as classroom parents and putting together some really awesome parties. I walked around and was really impressed with the games and the photo booths. It was awesome. I've not worked in a school that had parties like that for their kids before. It was just really fun to see. So thank you all for just the engagement that you have with our families, our classrooms around the holiday seasons. I do want to just remind that there is a policy in place around food and health and safety, specifically around parties. We have students with various allergies in our classrooms. And so those policies are in place both to protect student health and also kind of protect student dignity to make sure that students don't feel like they are excluded because they cannot partake in a certain snack. So I know sometimes it might feel a little frustrating when you have something in mind that you want to bring to the classroom, and Nurse Lands might say, unfortunately, it's not possible. And we ask that you just respect that policy because, I think sometimes for our homeroom teachers, they feel bad if a parent brings something and it's not allowed to feel bad, say no. But we did actually have at Halloween, there were a handful of issues where a student ate something that they shouldn't have had because a parent brought something that was not allowed. And they did have some minor allergic reactions. So know those things are in place for safety. And if something is brought that was not approved by Nurse Lands, that we just won't allow it to be served. And it's not meant to be disrespectful or ungrateful. It's just we have to make sure that when parents send their children to us, that we ensure that they're not going to be put in harm's way by serving something that they weren't supposed to have. So thank you in advance for just respecting that policy. And Nurse Lands is always happy to answer any questions you have and work with you to see if there's a solution that's going to benefit everyone involved. But just thank you so much. And the last thing before I turn it back over to Dr. Harris is just, again, expect my newsletter this week. I'll hit on a couple topics, but the big one will be the grading policy. And I hope that provides some clarity to some of the questions that folks might have around how their GPAs are calculated. So thank you so much for your time this evening. And I'll turn it back to Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. I appreciate it. That was it. Other than a save the date, another plug for the next town hall. So it will be in January 20th, and that will go out. Mrs. Anderson will have that in the blast for you. That actually will focus on re-enrollment. So we'll talk about the next school year. It may sound odd, but we're already in the process of planning. Olga and I have been working on the budget along with the finance committee for the 26-27 school year, and it's time to look at re-enrollment. So be on the lookout for a note from Mr. Stokes, or Mr. Dallas, as you call him, with a save the date for that town hall. He and Olga will be on. He will talk about re-enrollment. He will talk about some deadlines, and we're doing some things differently this year. There is a lot of interest in the school, and we are excited about that. And so we want to make sure that sooner rather than later, we are able to forecast our enrollment and that we're able to take care of our teachers in order to make sure that they receive a comparable living wage. We have to look at tuition, and we have to look at the number of students we will have enrolled. So for those of you, again, not on the call, who are watching this later, and who might, those who talk on their phones in the car line and call us during lockdown, those are the same ones that submit their paperwork for re-enrollment in August or July, and you will not be able to do that and for next school year. So deadlines are important. They're approaching. Save the date for that town hall. Again, I believe it's January 20th. Dallas, if that's incorrect, unmute and let me know. But I think we talked about January 20th at 6:30 p.m. And he and Olga will be available, and Olga will talk about Ed Choice, tuition assistance, any questions you have, fees and things that are covered, and so on and so forth. So that will be the next town hall, and you will just hear from Dr. Parker and I via our monthly communication and our newsletters. And
that date is correct, Dr. Parker.
Perfect. Thank you. No worries. Thank you, Dallas. I appreciate it. Wonderful. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat. If anyone has something and weren't able to access the chat, if you're driving, you have a comment, please unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you for your time this evening. And because I won't see you on Zoom, then I need to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. It is my favorite holiday. So I am super excited about it. Y'all could have kept the snow that came this week, but I'm excited about Thanksgiving. So if there's nothing else, okay, we must have hit it all, Doc. Okay. As usual, if you think of something, if we get off this call and you think, oh, I wish I'd asked X, you know how to reach us. Harris@bethanyschool.org, Parker@bethanyschool.org, and the real MVP, Anderson, at bethanyschool.org. Just reach out, and she will she'll respond. Okay, I think that is it. Thank you, everyone, for your time. See you tomorrow with those early drop-offs. The car line will be empty by 7:50, 7:55. I'm excited. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much. Bye.